Hello, everybody. How's it going? I'm gonna get my blue light glasses on here. Oh, it's a strain. Get myself situated a bit here. All right. Oh, how's it going, guys? So, give it a few more minutes here. Hope everyone's had a good weekend so far. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me on this thing? If not, I can try it out. It's an old pair I've got. I don't know. Let me see what's going on here. Anyways. So can you guys hear me? I think you can. Anyways. So, it's quite the day today. I hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. Hey, howdy, loud and clear. Thank you. So, it's messing up my hair. Just messing up my hair everywhere right now. Awesome. I'm glad this works. I found it today. I said, I can use that. It's awesome. Yes. So, as the title says, my history of the Games Workshop. So, yeah, it's been an interesting couple. Wow, it's been 3 weeks, I guess. This will be the third week since I last did a live. I had Canada Day there, so that was I was out having fun with the family on Canada Day, and then we had my mom's birthday, so I was out actually that Saturday. I was out at one of my local family members' house on a boat. We were having fun out there. The kids were at his own little man-made beach there along our big river here that goes through my town, and so yeah, and then just all the other stuff in between there. It's been crazy. Lots happened. My beautiful wife got me the Leviathan box set, so I've been reading through the rule book for that. And I've been doing a lot of little hobbying, like not any major construction. Um, it's just a lot of painting here and there. I paint, like I said in some previous videos, I've painted up a scout to go with my Scout Sniper Squad. It was a squad with a Scout with a missile launcher because the data cards had changed, so I had to add to that. No more 10-man tactical squads, so I had 2 small 5-man squads I shoved together and got things going there. Um, God. And the big one, the thing I'm working on right now, has actually been rebasing old tactical Marines. That's a really old metal Marine. He's got the old backpack and bolter. I've been rebasing them right now. I just finished putting the Agrax, what is it? The Astrogranite Technical on these 10 guys, and I'm going to put on these 10 Marines. I was one of those guys that was convinced tactical Marines were on the way out. There was a lot of chatter before 10th edition that said they're done, they've been replaced, time's up, time's over, time to put them away. Even before that, I really didn't feel like changing the bases. So I'm like, man, I got like a whole ton of Marines to change the bases on. But then, of course, Games Workshop came out and said, hey, you're getting tactical Marines are staying. They're going to get new rules. They've been sort of amped up a bit, like a lot of things in the Marine Codex. So it's been great. I'm happy. So I said, okay, well, I take this 2-man, shove them into a 5-man squad, and I had another 20 Marines sitting there on old bases. So I spent some time ripping off all the old bases, trimming off any plastic left over. These guys were a riot because these are all metal Marines. So they had the slots for the old slot bases. So not only did I have to take the bases off, I had to cut the metal off, cut away and file at that to make sure it was flush. So when I put it on, it actually stuck to the base. So luckily it has, and so now I'm going to have 2 more 10-man tactical squads to add to my to my Ultramarines army. And I've also been playing around with the new 40K app that is still free, although it's a limited time, but we'll see. I really actually like this app. It's actually a pretty good app. So I may actually subscribe. I'm not sure yet. I'm still hesitant, but yeah, I have a 2,000 point army, smack on 2,000 points. It includes 30 tactical marines, a 5-man assault squad, assault marine squad, assault intercessor squad, a 5-man assault squad as well, 5-man devastator squad, a couple rhinos, a couple of the old dreads that I still have to. I still have 30 tac marines. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's a lot of tactical marines, and with some of the cool rules you can give them. And I have this cool. There's this awesome little trick with a chaplain. I have a chaplain. It's gonna be my warlord, and he has a bolter drill enhancement. And chaplains are awesome. I've been reading over the chaplains. They're great because one, you get to reroll wounds. I believe it's wounds of a 1. I believe I'm gonna have to look. I'm still with the squad that he's in. Bolter drill. They'll get sustained hits 1, and then also any unit within 12 inches, if it's battle shocked, he can make it unbattle shocked, which is great, right? So I'm not surprised we haven't seen more chaplains around because they can make your units unbattle shocked, and battle shock's a big deal now. But yeah, so what else was in that list? Predator, a couple rhinos, an assault bike. Oh yeah, two scout squads, because scout squads are amazing now. They're so much better now than they were before. They have 2 wounds now. They're basically the same stat lines as any other Marine, except they have a 4+ armor save instead of 3+. But what they can do is amazing. So I have a scout squad and a sniper scout squad. Sniper scout squad's awesome. 4 sniper rifles, which are like amazing now. The missile launcher if needed. Their special rules basically, if you're not within 12 inches, you can't shoot at them. So they can sit there far at a distance and no one can shoot at them. And then, of course, your standard scout squad can actually be pulled off the table and come back somewhere else. This guerrilla war fighting they do, which is it's awesome. So I'm going to work on these guys while I talk. So, but it says my history. Sorry, I just noticed a weird spot on one of my irons. History with G-Dub. It's a long story, but it's a good one. So, like I said, I think I said it elsewhere at another stream. No, I'm in a stream. I think I posted it somewhere on the Instagrams. But I went back to my local Games Workshop store the first time in forever. It's been a long time, years, probably sometime before COVID, and even before that. Like it was a while before that too. I just didn't want to go. Because of what had happened my last time through. But in order to get to that, I want to go right back to the beginning when I first started Games Workshop. Because it was a different beast. It's a different beast now. It's a different beast even now than it was 5-6 years ago, but let alone in 2007 when I first started working for Games Workshop. That was a big deal. I just moved out nearby the store. It still is in Ottawa. It was out near a mall called Bayshore Shopping Center. Red shirt G-Dub. That's right, exactly. We were red shirts. And I've been going there for a while as just a customer. One day I said, man, I really want to work here. I'm living out here. I'm really close. At this time, I was living in a town called Stittsville, which is about half an hour away at that time from Games Workshop, just because there wasn't any buses that Riley ran from one. There are now. It's super easy now. It takes no time at all. But I moved out there. I said, oh, I want to work here. I went through, I build rapport with the staff. I did that beforehand. It wasn't like intentional. I got to get in. I'm going to build a rapport and not sneak it. No. I went and I said, hey, I really want to work here. They thought I'd be a good fit. I went through the testing. There was like a knowledge test. Not like in a gatekeeping way, but they want to know what you know, right? Like, and so it was things like Warhammer 40,000, Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and a little bit of Lord of the Rings. I aced them all, and so I started working there, and it was an eye-opening experience to say the least. excuse me, not in a bad way. But I learned a lot about myself working there. I had an amazing boss, fantastic boss. And I learned how Games Workshop sold stuff. I learned a lot about sales, a lot about um, getting people in the door, saying hello. There's a whole 10 commandments. I can't remember them all. It's been too long, but a lot of it was like, say hello to everybody that came in. What was it? Tell them what they want, sell them what they need, stuff about upselling, always asking open-ended questions, a whole bunch of stuff, which is very, very cool for sales. It's probably the only sales job I've had that I actually liked. I was not a huge fan of any of their sales positions I had after that. But it was a really great time. We had an amazing team. If I were to tell a day-to-day of the store was a bit unique too because it was in a shopping center, shopping mall. So we had to go by the shopping mall hours. Our day to day would, open the store. Depending on open or close, you'd open the store. I love commission sales jobs. It was I did that too. It's okay. I'm out of retail, and I honestly never want to go back. And there's actually the story is part of the reason why I will never go back to Games Workshop. But we'll get to that later. You open the store, make sure everything's clean, get orders of stock. Retail, it sucks big time. It sucks. But and then you just start about your day. We had goals we had to set where we set goals. Well, the company set the goals we had to hit. And there was like a daily, weekly, monthly financial goal. You had to get a certain amount of sales, but there's also hobby goals as well and core goals. And the core was like selling things like starter sets, rule books. What else was core? Yeah, starter sets, rule books, bigger box sets, and this was like you had to sell because this is the stuff that people need to get their hobby on, right? And we also do hobby lessons, which involved excuse me, painting lessons, demos. So you'd have someone come in and they'd go to the table and they go, "Oh man, I've never seen this before." Oh yeah, you want to try a quick game, see what it's like, and that was also a unique experience because we had to make it. What was it? Fast, fun, and force was the rules for that for a table. So it had to be fast. So you wanted it to go quickly so people see you could have fun in a quick manner. You didn't want to drag on. It had to be fun. So we always made it so that you set up the models so they were instantly in combat. It wasn't going to take long for stuff to get blown away or die. So people could have fun seeing what it was all about. Plus, we had to make it sound really exciting, which isn't hard when you work there because it is really exciting. It's a great 40K is a fantastic game. But so that was one of the things we had to do. And then fours was because everything happened on 4+. It was just simpler, right? You just want to get them in, have them fun. You didn't want to go, well, this has a 3+ save, this is a 2+ save. Everything was on 4s, right? And you just try and play up some competitiveness with people. Make sure everybody that's there is having fun. Of course, we also had to know what was in every white dwarf, what was coming up in the months ahead, so we could kind of, without going into great detail, we could kind of get people excited about what was to come without giving away a lot of information. That unfortunately changed later on, but I mean, companies change all the time. We had a great team. We had a rocking team at one point. We won an award from Games Workshop, which is sadly I cannot find. I didn't have it. It was for the store. It has disappeared now. It was in this when I was in the store. I was looking for it, and the new guy who works there, who was really really cool, said, "Yeah, no, it's gone." So I think the old manager, who is thankfully now gone, took it with her. So, yeah. which is unfortunate because she wasn't there when our old store got it. So at one point the stores changed locations, but so yeah, that's what your day to day. You're trying to get people excited, sell stuff. Knowing what everything did was very important. So you'd spend time reading through the rule books, the army books, the codexes to make sure you knew kind of what every unit did. So someone came in and wanted to play, say, Warhammer Fantasy, was really, really interested in, I don't know, the Empire. I'll use as an example. You kind of want to know generally what every unit was good at. So if they said, oh, I bought the Empire starter set, the box set, so I've got my handgunners, I got spearmen, I've got this. What do I get next? I got a cannon. Okay, well, you ask them, what kind of army do you want? Do you want to get some swordsmen? Do you want more handgunners? Did you want more knights? The hobbyist den. Good evening, sir. Hello, welcome. So yeah, that was sort of, you had to know, right? That way you can see what army block they were starting with and expand to help them get the most out of the army. The White Dwarf's important. We always had to know about that. We always got our copy a bit early so we could sort of read through it. That was part of it. You'd be reading through the White Dwarf in the back away from people on your break, whatever, to try and make sure you knew what was going on, what was coming, so that you could sell it to people, right? If you don't know, you can't sell. What else? And then Christmases were unique because we had to stay open the mall hours. So if the mall closed at 11, or as it did later on midnight, we were there till midnight or 11 or midnight, depending on that point of Christmas. And that was a bit of a drag because you're sitting there trying to stay aware because someone could come in, but our target demographic at that point, and even now, was most likely in bed or putting kids to bed or shopping for other things, right? So it was, you would spend hours just alone in the store. You do a little bit of cleaning here because at the end of the day you'd have to clean up, and then you'd count the cash once everything's closed. All the normal stuff you do with retail. But you get a little cleaning done here, dusting here, a little spraying down we just nice big round painting table where people could paint. So we clean that off, change the waters, change the pads we had out. We just took little Games Workshop bags. And we had these pieces of cardboard. You just shove the cardboard in, flip it around, and you had a pallet, right? But it was Christmases were probably the most boring time. I literally read through every single codex and army book we had several times over. Like, I could have told you what page whatever army unit was on if you asked. So that was fun. But yeah, we had a really good team. It was a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. That was a great part. It was just bouncing ideas off each other, joking around, having fun. It was awesome because you could work a dynamic where you knew what was coming, right? Because we got a little bit of heads up, just a little bit back in the day. So we knew it was coming, so we could throw off just little tidbits of information, little hints that we knew were true. And there was nothing malicious about this. It was just to get people excited. You wanted people to be excited. You wanted people to be interested because, yes, one, you have to make those sales, but two, it's just a lot of fun to be talking about Warhammer all the time. And then we throw out these ridiculous ones. I remember one of my colleagues just throwing out like, oh yeah, and fifth ed, fifth ed, the new fifth ed's coming out, and the fifth ed Space Marine Codex. And Terminator's gonna have 3 wounds. Captains are gonna have like 18 attacks. I just throw weird stuff out, and some people knew you were BSing them. Other times it was believable enough to go, what? Terminator's gonna have 3 wounds? No way. No, it's not gonna happen. No. Right? But it got people excited, and when when people are excited, they tend to buy more. Again, it's not a malicious thing. It's just part of being in that position, right? I think this is true for anybody. I know anybody who's worked at Games Workshop has a unique perspective a unique perspective when it comes to sorry, it's in my eye here. When it comes to being a Games Workshop hobbyist, because you get to see this side, like me painting these bases and coming up with cool army lists and running cool fluff in the back of my mind. All the Marines valiantly charging up the hill, bolters blazing, enemies being blown away, fighting valiantly to keep right. Um, but then you do get to see the corporate side, where it's like, okay, you have to sell this many rule books this month. We have to sell this many starter sets. We have to sell this many paint cans, this many paints. We need to hit these sales every day. You need to have this many paint lessons done and this many, game demos done, right? In order to show that we're having hobby growth, right? So there's a corporate side to it, and I remember my first, employee eval wasn't the best because I hadn't at that point clicked on to what it meant to be an employee. I was still sort of coming at it from the perspective of a hobbyist. Well, I went, okay, well, I screwed that up. That sucks. So I'm going to go reevaluate how I'm looking at this, and I did, and obviously I did much better. I did really well there. I was outdoing when I was a part timer there. At one point, I was outdoing the full timers, right? Now, of course, all that can't last forever. And I remember we had one guy I really liked working with. He went off to Japan to teach English there. Um, the person who would be the manager went on mat leave. She went on mat leave. And so then we had other people come in, and it really just, they didn't get it. You had people who didn't get it, people who just thought it was going to be a cushy job. It's not. There's a lot of pressure to sell stuff, right? You have to be on the ball. You have to know what you're talking about. And we also, at the same time, around that time, we had two stores in Ottawa, and one of them closed because we had the infamous Lord of the Rings bubble burst. Now, if you don't know what that means, back about 2000 and I think it was 2008, the last Lord of the Rings, Return to King, came out. And while obviously the heat stayed on elsewhere in the UK, from what I understood, I have talked to people who said, yeah, it's still very popular here in North America. Once the interest in that movie sort of dried up, so did the sales. And at one point, Games Workshop was making money hand over fist, thanks in large part to Lord of the Rings and all that. Once it stopped, they realized that they had made some pretty poor decisions in terms of rents, places where they had stores. They realized, oh man, suddenly maybe this where we put the store wasn't the best idea because it's not making the most money. And there was our Saint Laurent store. It was in another mall. We had one in Bayshore and another mall called Saint Laurent, and it was tucked out of the way, like way out of the way. And it was cool because it was our Battle Bunker store. And for anybody who doesn't know what Battle Bunker was, it was a store where you could pay a annual fee. It wasn't very much. It wasn't very much at all. And there was a part of the store. Well, okay, hey, the Bayshore Shopping Center was never a good choice. No, I was so fast when the Gun Bunker and Glen Burnie killed. Oh yeah, now you feel. I like the Battle Bunker. Again, it was a place where you could be, and no one else was going there other than bunker members. So you could have games that were free from pedestrians and people walking in and annoying. It was great. But it was tucked in this little back corner that you couldn't find very well. Okay, so it closed. And then the manager that had hired me, who'd been there for like 13 plus years, he said, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I've done enough. And at that point, crazy, it was the first USG store too. Oh, wow, that's sad. I always like when the first ones go. But then we sort of had two managers, which is very weird. A manager who had worked with me, who went over to the Saint Laurent store, came back. He was a manager, co-manager there. And this manager came back from mat leave. And it did not do as well. I was part-time. We had another part-timer. We had these 2 co-managers and 2 full-timers. And I don't want this to be a negative one. I don't want to be disparaging. But this one manager, she would become a major problem. And one of the reasons why I will never work for Games Workshop again. But anyways, the changes kept coming, right? So all of a sudden, the White Dwarf changed. It was hard to sell because it had become simply just a catalog. It always was a bit of a catalog, but a lot of the articles, all the chapter proof stuff disappeared. So no more cool articles about making your own units or making cool monsters or having cool terrain or specialized units that you could use in friendly games. All that was gone. It was very much, here's what we're selling, and here's a really not very good attempt at making it exciting. We stopped getting heads ups. There was a point there near the end of my first tenure where people on the web were getting the dark times. Yes, they were the dark times. We knew what was coming before we did. So they come in, oh, did you guys hear about this? Like, no, I haven't been told anything. At one point we had, it was called the black box, which is fantastic because you would get a box about this big, black, with a paper purity seal on it, cut the purity seal. And there were a bunch of the new units were coming. So you paint them up, get excited for the store. People would see them in the middle of building, painting, and you're like, oh man. And the new orc buggy's coming out. That thing's awesome. That's one of the ones I built and painted for the store at that point. Those disappeared. And we found out later it's because some stores weren't putting them out. So they were just collecting dust in the back room. Some stores were selling them off. And not even like a legal way. Like it was like the managers were going, here, I got a new orc buggy, who wants it? $50. And they were pocketing the money. Right? Other people just weren't doing them. They would never finish them. They would get built and stay in a display case, and that was it. Right? It was unfortunate. And of course, the big change is then the Games Workshop Canadian headquarters closed, and all of North America fell back under the headquarters in Memphis, I believe it is. And so one of the big changes at that point was no more part-timers. So me and our part-timer were let go, right? Theo, it was sort of a, thanks for your service, but we don't need you anymore. Bye. Nothing bad, nothing horrible. It wasn't fun. I really liked that place. I remember I'd spent a lot of personal time when the bunker store closed. The manager and I, this is before he left, rearranged the whole store. We had the store area, we had a back area, and then we had our little back room. And this back area is where we're supposed to store everything. Well, we were able to get new tables over from the closing store, so we were able to put all that storage in these tables. So we could play on the tables, but they had drawers that were lockable, so we could get what we needed to put up. We turned this back room into our own little battle bunker. Now, we couldn't sell anything for it, but it became a battle bunker. And we built these tables. We put our time in. Our sweat and tears went into that room. And so at the end, it was kind of like, well, thanks for everything. Bye. Okay, cool. But the store got hit even harder because one of the co-managers, he had at that point been going on and on about how he was going to quit. Oh, I'm quitting, I'm leaving, and he never would. And so he was told rather directly, write down when you're leaving. Give us a note of when you're resigning from the company. So that was his little bit of a goodbye. The other two full-timers were told they were being investigated for time theft, because the way the store worked is if you were the closing shift and say the store closed at 8, you were on the clock till 8:30, because you need to vacuum, you need to count the change, you need to put out anything for the next day. Like if it's a big release Saturday, you had time that night to put stuff out for the next day, right? So that was sort of a big deal to do, right? It was an important part. And they would check up on us. They would call us. They'd be like, hey, are you, you there? I remember one time I was vacuuming, so I didn't hear the phone, and I finished, heard the phone again. I'm like, oh, Games Workshop, Steve speaking, how may I help you? The normal thing. And one of the area managers like, where were you? I'm like, I was vacuuming. Oh, okay, cool, bye. That was strange, right? So found out these two guys were actually being investigated for time theft. So basically, if the store was empty, they'd count the cash early, which is a no. You can't count the cash till the store is closed, and so on and so forth. And they were basically told. So they basically both went, okay, well, we quit. Um, and so the store was. I remember visiting a few times, and it was very bitter time too, because you go, wow, I've been putting a lot of energy into this company. He just told me to basically go bugger myself. There was a time there I didn't paint or build anything because I was like really just bummed out, and I was part of me was burnt out too, because I was going to college at the time for heating and air conditioning, and so it's part of the reason. Oh, we want people who are fully dedicated to store. It's like, dude, I am fully dedicated to store, a lot more than your full timers are, and but yeah, so that was their. So for a while I didn't do anything, didn't paint, didn't play, nothing, because I was really upset, right? As I think it's understandable, anybody would be upset. Um, but then they started bringing people who just weren't a good fit for the store. There was one guy. There was one guy they hired. Who was also named Steve. He's a good guy. He loved that place and he worked his ass off for the place. And I'll get to him in a minute too as well. But then they just got people who were like bad mouthing games in the store, like, oh yeah, Warhammer Fantasy sucks. Like, dude, you can't say that. You're if you think Warhammer Fantasy sucks, that's cool. You're allowed to think Warhammer Fantasy sucks, but you cannot be in a store, in a Games Workshop store, in a Games Workshop shirt, a red shirt, going, oh, fantasy sucks. Don't play fantasy because that's not your job. Your job's like, oh, you like fantasy? What's your favorite army? Oh, I really like the Beastmen. Okay, well, then you get some of these cool units. What do you have for your army? Oh yeah, what are you looking at getting? Oh yeah, that's cool, 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 cool. And you help them get what they wanted for their army. They don't want you to walk in. They don't want to walk in and have you, oh, that game sucks. And that continued for a while. And life still went on. I kept playing here and there and building up the army and visiting that store from time to time. Although I had moving on with life. I moved to where I live now, and we had a local gaming store somewhat there. So there was a distance between at least the store proper and myself for a long time. And in 2015, the store, actually before 2015, somewhere, I think it was about 2013, the store finally moved locations. So it said goodbye to Bayshore, and it moved, oh God, maybe about 4 blocks away to another little strip mall right near one of the major movie theaters in Ottawa. And and it followed this, in my opinion, really um, bad idea to have one man stores. The idea, I think, took off in like Japan. That was a big thing. We were told, oh, it works really well in Japan. Well, the Japanese stores at the time were really small, so one man could effectively run the store. Plus, I'm like, oh man, you know what? I really feel like I want to work for Games Workshop again. This whole second time was a big mistake. I went in with rose tinted glasses. It was not the same store. It wasn't even the same. Like the same company vision was different. There was no more trying to build the hobby. It was just about selling stuff, which was a big problem because I think the hobby aspect, building a hobby aspect, is incredibly important. And now, I mean, nowadays Games Workshop has, well, all the great hobby content I follow on here to do it for them. They don't have to worry about that anymore. I mean, they put up there how to paint this and how to paint that, which is good, which is good. But yeah, there's no more building buildings. There's no more, trying to set up cool scenarios. It's, here's the scenarios we've given you. Have fun with these. If you don't like them, even then, I mean, and that was one of the things that even bothered me then was this manager. She's the one who would survive through all that. She was still in charge, and the joke was like she could sell drugs to a cop. She was that good at selling, no good at managing. And again, I'm not trying to attack this person, but there's a once we get to the end point, the closure I mentioned earlier. I got this when I visited the store. It was a ton of closure. It was good. So I went and worked there for about a year. I was a key timer, so I was only working when the manager's away. So I did. I went and I did the best job I could. Learning how the new store, um, the new corporate vision for the store worked, and you know, the manager talked about ping ponging. Right, you couldn't really take time to play demo games. You couldn't take time to really show painting lessons because there was no time. You couldn't. You're one person. You had to go from one person to the next. Like, hey, how can I help you? What are you looking for? And selling stuff. And the sales are still important, which I understood. It just wasn't the same, and it was disheartening. Sitting there going, man, I was kind of hoping for something else, and I didn't get it. Right. Um, but yeah. So, and then came a 2 week period where I basically went to school full time and worked full time for 2 weeks. My manager was on vacation. And that's the first day I knew something's up. First off, I was all of a sudden locked out of the Facebook group. So at this point, there was no Games Workshop didn't have a proper Facebook page at that point because of a bunch of other dumb stuff that the corporate head people had done. Um, I mean, I've been called on a side note. I've been called like a fanboy of Games Workshop, and maybe, but they've also done a lot of stupid things. And this is one of them. This was the fallout of the Spot Space Marine problem, where they had already started to a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo with a company called Chapter House over Chapter House using some of their IP. I guess they thought they were on a high from it because it was they were still in the middle of it, and then they went after this author. She's just almost like a J.K. Rowling sort of thing, where she's just a mom writing a book called Spots the Space Marine. They went to Amazon and said, "Take it down. That's our IP. We own Space Marines." Of course, they don't. Space Marines have been around. The word Space Marines been around a lot longer than Games Workshop has. And there was a whole bunch of, and they learned that in the Chapter House stuff, right? Um, and so there was a big backlash on their Facebook group. They closed and said, from now on, stores will take care of the Facebook groups. So I got there and I was locked out of that. Sent a text to my boss going, "Hey, I'm locked out." "Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to leave that for you. Can I get the the password on?" "Oh yeah, I'll get to you." Never got it. First person came in, goes, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Running a store for the manager." "She's replacing you." "What?" "Oh yeah, she's getting rid of you, man. She's," and there was half an hour of this guy telling me that the manager was talking behind my back, telling people not to come in when I was there, basically saying I couldn't run anything to save my life. I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that. That she found a replacement, and that went on, and that went on for like a week and a half of many different customers going, "Oh yeah, they're just getting rid of you. She said all these horrible things about you," right? And I'm like, wow, okay, I understand now. Okay, um, and so it was really disheartening. But I went to work and I did my thing. I did the best job I could, and then of course, near the end of that second week, when the orders came in and a name tag came in with a new person, so I'm like, okay, it's happening. And I went to HR. And this was the nail in the coffin why I will never, ever work for Games Workshop again. I called HR going, "Yeah, my manager is saying all these horrible things about me." And it's not just from like one or two people. And I took some of those people with a very big grain of salt because there was a few of them, not a lot, but a few of them that hated the manager. They just absolutely hated her. I'm like, okay, well, but then there's people I've never met for, "Oh man, she said this about you, she said this about you, she said this about you." So I went to like, there's like, double digits worth of people coming in, sometimes daily, coming in going, "Yeah, your manager said this." And they're not exact wording, but they're the general was like, "Don't listen to the heretic." I'm like, dude, this is your one of your managers is saying horrible things about another worker to customers. See, you don't do that. "Oh well, you should go have lunch with this person." So I'm like, "Yeah, you're not gonna help me. You're not gonna help me." Cool. So that 2 weeks came and went, and the manager's like, "Oh, Steve, I can't. I don't like the way you're doing it. Yeah, I need you to be more reliable." I'm like, I worked full time and went to school full time because I was going into school for some computer stuff. I did a bit, and I had really good sales, right? But I didn't say this. This is what I'm thinking to myself. Like, come on. And I know you've replaced me. Don't lie. Well, I'm going to have to find someone to replace you. I don't, if I have to. And the way the contract works is if you went 6 months not working, the contract ended, right? When HR fails, call it. Yeah, this was not even going to be a labor board thing. I was at the end of that first week, I was done. I'd already come up with my mind. Yeah, I'm done. I went home for the weekend. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not helping out anymore. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna do a good job because I know I can do a job, but I'm not gonna do it to help this manager. And so, she's like, oh, I'm gonna have to find someone else. Like, I think to myself, I know you already have someone else. Don't right. Um, and so, like, I just never went back to work there. I said, screw it, I'm done. I don't want to work for you. I went in with rose-colored glasses. This is not the same company I worked for in 2007 to 2009. And then, of course, the Steve gentleman, he worked there again. He did the same job, and it came out again that she had done the same thing to him. The back talk, the abusing the positions of power. Basically, in our contract, we could turn down coming in. Like, if the manager wanted us to cover shift and we couldn't, that's cool. Too bad for her. But it was the back talking, and she was running him down too. And then he decided he was done. He was done with it too. And this guy bled Games Workshop. Like, even like same level as I do. Not Steve, yes. He was the best man. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. You know Steve, yeah. So she now I'm not mentioning the name of the manager because I don't want to cause any issues. But Steve was named the same as me. Steve was a good guy. And so she put down Steve, did the same thing, talking behind his back, saying horrible things about him, basically undermining, which is funny because when she was gone, we were in charge of the store and we had to keep the sales up so she could get her bonus. She was always big about getting her bonus. She wanted to reach these sale levels so she get these big bonuses and so on and so forth. So, like, if you're bad mouthing us and telling people not to go into the store, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, basically. I know Steve from, he was there in the old store too. He went in after the big changeover, after those full-timers left, after us part-timers left. Yeah. So, and then I just sort of stopped going to the store. Right. I'm like, okay, whatever. Matt was okay. Forgot the other guy kept shaved head and knowledgeable, but honest. Yes. Matt, Too Tall Matt was good. I think it's who you're talking about. Yeah. I can't remember them all. But yeah, so after that point, and this is back in like 2016, 17, somewhere in there. So I'm finishing up college again. And I just, painting up models, buying what I wanted, getting codexes when they came out, sort of just meandering through, having fun hobbying, started this channel. And then came the point when all of a sudden the manager was gone. She was gone. And there was a big hubbub in the local community as to why she was gone. Some people saying it was about time. Other people saying, no, it's not fair. She's a great person. Why is this happening? I even joined a Facebook group for like 30 seconds just so I could see what she said. Basically, the rundown is that she'd been fired for theft. But yes, I know who she was too. Name last time I was there a few years ago. She like buy something or get out. Yeah, that's exactly how she was. Buy and then get out, which is not the way you want to run a hobby store. I always loved having people around talking. It made it more fun. People would come in and see people talking. They would want to talk and have fun. It's a great way to build a community. Need people interested. Fired for theft. And I saw a statement she made saying it was misunderstanding. And then a lot of things that I'd seen clicked because there were times that I would go to cover because she'd be like, oh, I have a family thing today. I go, okay, I'll go in and cover today. I get there. And she'd be there with her husband. And she'd be walking out with some new stuff, right? And I couldn't really think much of it at the time, right? Because I was busy trying to get things ready to open up the store and do my job. When that clicked, I'm like, well, so because we couldn't sell to ourselves, we had a discount. There was a staff discount you could get. We couldn't sell to ourselves, and we couldn't sell to family members because that could be it's a conflict of interest, right? Because then you're selling yourself. You can't do it. Someone had to sell to you. Um, and so, she'd walk in with new stuff. I'm like, she can't sell it to herself. She can't sell it to her husband. So how's she getting it? But I was busy. It's like, that's a little hinky, but whatever. I can't say anything. I'm just a key timer. I have really no power there. But then that brings us now. So I just said, okay, well, she's gone. Hurrah! We'll get a new manager. Steve went for it. He didn't get it. They got a new guy from Montreal. Well, not a new guy. He was a manager at Montreal, and I became manager of store here. Anyways, excuse me. That brings us to this last trip I went to. So it's been a long time. Walked in the store. The store looks pretty good. It looks great. The air sense things that this manager put in were gone, so the store wasn't overpoweringly smelling like lilacs. Just the store just stunk. You'd go home driving home the end of the day, just smelling like Febreze. It was horrible. Um, but yeah, no, it looks good. It also looks like a store that's still set up for COVID, right? So a lot of people are coming in, grabbing their stuff, and leaving, which is unfortunate. I have a feeling. This is a prediction of mine. I have a feeling if there is a downturn in the economy that everybody's talking about with stuff going on up and down, the rates and all, we could see this store close. I wouldn't be surprised if the store was gone next 5 years. Sadly, but I think it'll be gone. But yeah, I walked in and I was talking to the guy. It was funny because my wife, I'd seen him on a FaceTime that my wife had put on when my wife visited like the week before when she went. She just wanted me to see the guy because it's like, she was telling him I used to work there and he wanted to see me and he recognized me from some other time I'd been there or some other store. I think maybe visiting Ottawa at some point. And that's when she bought me the Leviathan box set, which is really fun, which I loved. It's a great box set. But so when he's like, oh yeah, I recognize you. And we talked and all that, and then I picked up the Space Marine index cards. I looked around. It was cool. It hasn't changed that much. There's a lot less Lord of the Rings on there. Us being Canadians, not a big surprise. Yeah, our import fees are too damn high. My wedding ring cost me. Yeah, no, it's nuts. So. But that's the way it is for right now. It was a lot of fun going to the store. Yeah, lots of Space Marine stuff, lots of 40K, lots of Age of Sigmar, very little Lord of the Rings, which is good because that stopped being a seller a long time ago. I remember when I worked there in 2015, and I don't think I ever sold Lord of the Rings. I think I could count on one hand the amount of times I actually sold Lord of the Rings stuff. So that was gone. Some cool decorations are up. There's a cool power fist that you can wear. It's like cardboard and foam with a little stick inside. So you have a power fist. I have a picture of it on my Instagram there. Tons of fun. Tons and tons of fun. But I also saw an army of one of my old coworkers that's still there. So that army's been on display, with the exception of when they moved the store, pretty much nonstop since 2008. So like 15 years. It's an orc army. It's absolutely fantastic. I tried to take a good picture of it, but the way it's situated, there's a big window behind it. So no matter which angle I went through, there's just too much light coming through the camera on my phone. Couldn't handle it. But it was cool to see his army there. It's cool to see some of the armies, and like there's still armies there that I helped work on years and like 15 years ago, 16 years ago. So it was cool to see them there. It was cool to get to know the new manager. He's a really good guy. But I there was an awkward moment. I said, listen, you don't have to tell me, but I need to know what happened with the manager that was here before you. What happened to her? And he's like, oh, yeah, no problem. So it turns out my call wasn't the only call that they had gotten about this manager, about her over the years. And they kept escalating. And it got to the point where even the people were making complaints about her husband. He'd be in the store and he'd be talking to other people. And her husband seems like a nice guy. But I can recall him talking down to me too. It's like, dude, like, come on, I work here. Don't you're great. You're married to the manager. What do you do? But yeah, I put something up on the Games Workshop Facebook page for for our store, and and you kind of have to code the company toe the company line on the Facebook page. I say, hey man, this is awesome. Check this out for close combat coolness and all. And he came in next episode. Oh, you know a lot about close combat? Do you know about fighting? I'm like, what am I going to say? Come in and get this crap? Like, so yeah, I could see it. So there's a lot of complaints about that. A lot of complaints about her attitude. And eventually he said, yeah. And then the last straw was that she used someone else's card with her discount, which is fraud. And that was the end of it. She was fired. Just told, no, you can't do that. She should have known better. She should have. And she was fired. And I'm like, wow. So it was a nice little bit of closure. I'm not crying. I just got something. It was a nice bit of closure to know that, the karma does get you sometimes, right? She had been bad to me. She had been bad to other employees. Turns out there was lots of complaints about her attitude, being rude, and her husband being rude too. So it was like, okay, that's good to know. It's a little bit of karma. So you didn't get away with it in the end, which was kind of, it sounds kind of petty to think that way, but at the same time, it's like good, right? Because you shouldn't. And I found out there's other changes. So anybody, hey, Mythos, my friend, what's up? You made it. We've been chatting about my time games workshop. But yeah, so to recap, I talked to the new manager of the Games Workshop store, the local one, and yeah, he told me that the previous manager, one that had been bad to me. Oh, thank you, sir. I'm trying my best. You got to look professional, right? It told me that she'd been fired for fraud, that she'd used someone else's card with her discount, which you can't do, right? You have to use your discount with your card, so he got fired. So finding out that was kind of it. I wouldn't say it took any real joy in it, but it was like, okay, so there is karma, right? So yeah, so this guy's in charge of the store, and I'll probably want to go back because it's a bit nicer there now than it was before. Definitely not. And again, the company, the way they're trying to run the stores, I think has changed again. I think they want people to come in again. I know they made a absolute butt ton of money during COVID. They were making money hand over fist. Again, it was, tons of money, tons of sales. I know I was part of that. I bought stuff during the whole COVID thing, stuck at home, right? I still models, I still have to paint up, books I got, a whole bunch of cool stuff. But yeah, so that, it was a nice little, that's what I'm looking for. It was a nice little bit of closure to know that in the end, the manager got what they deserved for treating people badly, treating staff badly. And like, like I was saying, it's stuff that I probably should have seen coming anyways. When I worked with this person beforehand at the store, when she wasn't the manager, she would try and steal your sales all the time. You'd go through the hard work, and they did record who got sales, right? You always wanted to be the top earner because a little bit of pride. Like, hey man, I outsold everybody, I outworked everybody, I out-hassled everybody, right? But you do the hard work, and then she'd race you the cash to make the sale. Like, no, Joe. Oh, sorry, that's the name. I don't no manager. Ignore the name. Sorry, little slip at the top. No man, no person. Get out of the way. Yeah, stealing sales is fighting words. Yeah, get out of the way. My sale, and you do that. But yeah, so and then of course when I was working as a key timer for this manager, there would be the you sell it in the parking lot. No, well, back in the day, that was a long walk to the parking lot. Trust me, when I worked at the Bayshore Shopping Center, on the third floor, right across from a store called Mrs. Tiki Winkle's. Okay, and when a shipment would come in, okay, yeah, getting to the parking lot was a difficult thing. Okay, we're on the third floor, and sorry, it's getting a little uncomfortable. We were on the third floor, so getting to the parking lot was kind of a pain. But like, if you want to take out the garbage, you have to go past the store next to Miss Tiki Winkle's, right, down a hallway that led all the way down the edge of the outside of the mall. Like, you're still inside, but you're in like the dark, cramped back rooms of the mall. into a elevator that I swear to God was 5 seconds from falling apart. Down the first floor, back through some more dark hallways, outside, dump the garbage in the compressor, compress it, and we'll walk back up the elevator if someone already taken it, and the elevator was slow as hell, and all the way back. All right. Just listen to this makes you, well, no, man, go back now. It's good. The new manager knows he's a nice guy. He's of the old school. He wants people to get the best of the hobby like we did. There was a reason why we won in 2008 the hobby award, because we worked our asses off to make sure that everybody came in. We were building our hobby, right? She could have actually fell down the stairs. At this point, I think she got the karma she deserved. Getting fired for fraud is usually like, yeah. When I worked at, pulling seniority. Well, we didn't really have seniority the same way, right? And I was a full timer at her at the same time, so we had the same seniority. It didn't work the way a lot of places do, where they count years. I mean, they do, but they don't. If you're a full timer, you're a full timer, right? Yeah, no, I've worked other retail jobs. I've worked at movie theaters. I've worked at one of the big banks. I've worked at grocery stores. I hate retail now. The only time I'd ever go back to retail is if I was running my own store. I'll never, knock on wood, you know, I will never go back to retail. Retail is the worst. I don't want to deal with people, especially nowadays when everyone's just so entitled. I never want to go back to retail. But like I said, it brought closure. I mean, I was really over it. I'm not sitting in a harbor and going, "Oh, I'm going to get the manager one day." No, it was just nice to know, right? And it was satisfactory. If you said, "Oh, they just fired her for a dumb reason, whatever," but it was like, no, I'm going to buy appointment time to go. Well, there you go, yeah. But yeah, it was nice to know that there was a little bit of karma at the end. Like, oh, you didn't just get like, it wasn't like with me the first time where it was like, well, we're getting rid of part-timers. Sorry, bye. This was, no, you messed up. You shouldn't have done what you did, and goodbye. So there's no way she's getting a reference from the company for whatever job she found next. I'm not even sure what she does anymore. But yeah, there was that moment when I called HR, and they basically said, "Oh, don't listen to the heretic." And it's like, guys, this is not the time. It's cool when you're in the store going, "Let's not encourage the heretic." We were trying to sell Space Marines, but when I'm talking to you about a serious thing, you're like, "Oh, listen not to the heretic." You kind of mess things up there, right? But it was, again, it was good to know they were like, this new manager told me they were building a case, so they were taking. So obviously, my complaint, because I made a formal complaint. May have been one of the ones that kind of pushed it over the edge, or maybe it was one of the ones that maybe got it going. I don't know how long they've been building this case for, but yeah, no, it was, I'm gonna say it was a bit satisfying. Like, okay, cool, good to know. So it was like, okay, cool, all right, good. So you got a little something of what you were given in the end. But yeah, I have stories, man. I have so many stories. I could talk for more hours just on all this stuff. Yeah, history-wise, I mean, that's sort of the big story. Frick yeah, that's sort of the big story. In the end, though, uh, there was a lot more positives than negatives working for Games Workshop over the years. There's a lot of fun, a lot of great times, a lot of weird moments. God, there was a time. God, so many weird moments. You're in a mall, so lots of weird stuff happens. Gotta watch my language, wholesome Canadian stream. Oh God, I work for Games Workshop. There's nothing wholesome about me. No, but there was a time my previous manager back in 2008 got one of our regulars to shout very loudly while they were doing Canadian Idol in the mall, going, "You suck! And of course, security saw who did it and banned him for like a week. This poor kid who was just sort of egged on by her manager and told her manager, "Hey, you know you can't do that." He's like, "Yeah, sorry, I won't do that again." It's like, "Yeah, come on, man. Like, they couldn't ban him, but they banned the kid for a week and said, don't do that again." Accidentally been called everything but my own skin color. Yeah, there you go. No, we like to keep it a bit wholesome, but yeah, swear, it's okay. I won't tell anybody. Baltimore. Is that an insult? You stupid Baltimorean. Um, there was a time when this guy came into the store and he tried to make fun of us. So there was these two. They're like teenagers, probably 15, 16, 17. They were outside of our store, and you could see and you could see and you knew it was geeky nerdy stuff. So he pulled his pants up, he put his glasses on. Oh, I'm gonna go be a nerd. Boom, my boss was on him right away. Said, oh yeah, and he took him outside and basically emasculated him in front of his girlfriends. Right, both these guys in front of their girlfriends. The girlfriends were looking so embarrassed, and we were just out there laughing because these guys just got ripped apart, um, which was hilarious because they totally deserved it. Nah, we Baltimoreans are just wild. Well, there you go. Us Canucks were wild in our own ways. When PSC came, I got some interesting suggestion we could delay, just letting them know when we had more units in stock. If you're any interesting, oh man, oh, Mythos, it had to be you, right? You had to ask. Okay, um, there's many. Okay, so this manager that I've been talking about, the one that was eventually fired, told me some interesting stories about her, her friend, and her husband in the back of a car. That's all I'm going to say. Because let your imagination. He was driving, and the two girls were in the back. Just don't leave it there. Let your imagination run wild. Um, we had, at one point or another, all of us had somebody um, would offer something. I have one that still haunts me in my dreams at night sometimes. So I was at the store and we had this was 2007. So right like about God, it's probably about 4 or 5 months after I got hired there, and we had the old fantasy castle set. Right, this is a set you get. It was 4 walls, a bunch of turrets. One of the walls had a door. It was this big plastic castle, basically. You could get. You could build as a long wall or a little keep. And we had one of these out for our fantasy table. And this woman came in, and she's there with her kids. Like, oh, my son's got to build a castle for school. I'm like, okay, well, we don't really have any like building materials like that. We have what do you guys see here? Zero filter. Those castle sets were, yeah, I should have got one. I never did. So we don't really have that. Like, we have a pre-built castle, but if you get that, he's probably gonna get the marks he wants. And she's asking about, we had these 2 display tables, and one of them was for Warhammer Fantasy, and my boss had built up. It was just for the Blood Isle set. So no, not the Blood Isle. The one before, the dwarves versus the goblins, and he actually built up a little cave entrance out of pink foam and then some papier mâché on it to make it a cave. So boom. And we're trying to tell her how we did this. And we had another one that was the fourth Battle from Craigstar set. So we actually built up a trench line, right? So we built up the foam, and we built a trench line. The Space Marines go in, and the Tyranids are coming in waves. The Space Marines are blasting them, and so we're telling her how she's doing this. And the whole time this is going on, I'm moving around, and she keeps coming closer to me. And I'm trying to go around like demonstrating stuff, and she keeps coming closer to me as we're going to the table. I'm like, this is getting a little bit no, I don't like this. And I'm like, yeah, so if you just do those things, he might be able to, build up his own castle or what have you and have fun with it, yada, yada, yada. And then she says, and again, this woman's got, by the way, has seen the inside of one too many tanning beds. Her skin is like leather. Not judging, but, and, right. So I'm definitely like, eh. And, she's like, would you like to come back to our house and help me build it? Nope. 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 No, nope. 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 Got out of there. So we got out of there. I'm like, nope. No. Oh, look at that. Surprisingly, right now it's my break time. Gotta go. Bye. Got out of there really quick. Yeah, we had other times where we'd have, because of where we are, there's a bunch of local high schools around in that area. And, the teens would come in and out and all that. And we had a bunch of them come in. Oh, God, this was in 2008, I think. And it's like, near the end of the school year, so doing a whole bunch of activities and all that. You didn't want a hobby and chilled? No, I did not. And then we had a bunch of girls come in, and I was wearing a blue shirt. Like, he's a blue teddy bear? I'm like, no. Right, obviously. Like, we're going to take a picture anyway. So my coworker and I was there on my day off, right? I just wanted to come in and paint some of my models of peace and all that. It sounds like a great time. Are you the blue teddy bear? No, I'm not. But all of a sudden, oh, we're going to take a picture anyway. So all of a sudden, we were surrounded by a bunch of, I don't know, I'm hoping they were legal age, just scantily clad teenagers in bikini tops that wasn't covering much. And these women are walking around the base room. I'm like, how have you not been kicked out for like indecent exposure? Right now, they're all wearing like those back in 2008. They had the juicy pink sweatpants on, to juicy on the butt. They're all wearing like bikini tops. Like, they walked out, we're like, the hell was that? Right? It was weird. But yeah, no, I think we've all been through something like that. Ugh, sounds like a great time. No, 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 no. Bro, I wear almost nothing in time except to wear. Well, there you go. But that's in the comfort of your own home and not in the middle of a mall. All right. Again, not trying to be judgmental or anything, but when you work in a mall, you kind of, oh, what I juicy bikini tops. Exactly. Well, Mythos here, and I'll go to the back. Mall. I got girl coming at full blown teen. No, in the store. I'm like, no shoe, no shit. Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. But yeah, so there's been lots of weird stuff. One day my coworkers were moving. This didn't happen to me specifically. One day my coworkers were moving um, one of the display tables we had, one of the gaming tables, I should say, because there was a smell, and they pushed the table out of the way, and there was a piece of poop. I walk my dog in the robe. Yeah, I meet the freak in it with their bow tie action. Oh, come on, man. When are they not at it with their bow tie action? I mean, that would be weird if they weren't. Then I get evil glare. Sure, they were told hugs against me now till the end of time. Whatever. They can hold all the grudges they want. That's people nowadays, man. But they rolled the table back because there's a smell, and there was a piece of poop. So somehow, someone had pooped, got it out of their underwear, down their pants leg, and under the table. I don't know, man. It was that was the mystery of Games Workshop, man. Right? Play a game of what's that smell, and then hope to God it isn't that. Um, no, man. There was lots of cool times. Who rocks bow ties? I love bow ties. Well, Mythos and Freak. I make a policy never to refuse a lady to bikini. Whoa, Mythos, calm down, my friend. Okay, bow ties and suspenders. I swim. Well, there you go. They caboose like Steve Austin. Yeah. God, there was lots of weird stuff. Running tournaments is always fun because it was someone who was trying to cheat their way through. You'd have to bring a fully completed list, and they would, oh, I forgot my list at home. Hell, shock, right? And then of course they're like, all right, well, build up your list, and that's the list you're going to use for the rest of the tournament. And then of course they would make up a list. You catch them list, like no, you use the same list because they're trying to build a list that would be good against the army you're facing. I do like to toot my own horn. This one we did a staff challenge at one point. Staff challenge. This is where you got to challenge the staff. It was a quick game. It was 45-minute game. One objective, the center table closest to the objective at the end of the 45 minutes won. I watched enough cheers. And so it was a lot of fun, right? You throw your armies out there, play games, and I always like to play for the objectives, right? That's what you're supposed to do. And so but I'm also fun when I play games. I like to think, I just want to have a fun experience. I want to tell a story. I want some memorable moments. Win or lose, I don't care. Let's just have a memorable moment. I was the only person that had 2 days. No one else. Some people had like a couple games. I had 2 days where I had like 6 or 7 games each day. It was awesome because I was there to have fun, and that's like, and I've been reminded this by people like Mythos. It's all about having fun. The rule of cool, but having fun, and it was just about straight up about having fun. That's what I was doing it for. So that was one of my moments I take away. Like I had 2 days. No one else had 2 days. I did because I was fun, and that's the gist of it. You want to be fun. You want people to have fun. You want people to have a memorable time. I had lots of kick-ass games when I was playing there. Just games that were just absolutely a blast. Right? You lose by a tank. You win by 5 devastators. I think one of my favorite games I ever had was one of those staff challenge ones because I played like an absolute god. And it was cinematic as well. I played the objective. It was cinematic, right down to the last dice roll that won me the game. Um, and it was also one of those ones that also had a really unfortunate end because the person I played with decided to be a poor sport afterwards. So it was a staff challenge, and of course, people were bringing really broken lists. Um, so I brought a chaplain, 2 tactical squads, a scout squad with sniper rifles, and and a veteran squad. It had been at that point. It was my training war veterans. That was the 4th. This was 5th edition. So they're just veterans. And the guy brought a demon prince, the old big demon prince mount, the massive sword, an obliterator, and a squad of chaos marines. Right. I think it was about 500 points we were playing. So he sunk all his points into an obliterator and a the demon prince. So thanks to missile launchers and plasma guns, I was able to see those. The Space Marine squad off, the Chaos Space Marine squad off, sniper rifle, the sniper scouts there were peppering his demon prince with. Back at that point, you could actually get like if you could actually get hits that would cause him to have to use his invulnerable save instead of armor save. I can't remember what it was anymore, but I was slowly taking away his wounds. He came in and thrashed the tactical squads with the demon prince, as I was expecting to. Left the fighter completely alone because it never hit anything. It missed every time. I think it hit once, but I saved up, made all my armor saves. And the chaplain got taken out. Meanwhile, my veteran squad was going around the side, helped pepper the Chaos Space Marine squad, it ran off the board, it ran away, and they were right on the objective. And this is the time when the original version of Apocalypse had just come out. And so we had a Baneblade. So the Baneblade was the objective. You couldn't use it in standard game. It's only for Apocalypse. But so we threw that on there. So that was the objective. And it played out like a cinematic masterpiece. The Demon Prince charged, but it was also the Baneblade was considered cover. So he charged in. And so my Marines had to go first. You charge in cover back at this point. You need grenades to go at the same time or first. So my veterans got to go first. And I needed I think I needed 5s to hit and 6s to wound, the way the weapon skill was. So I attacked. I got one hit, rolled up. It was a 6. It was a wound. He only had one wound left because the sniper rifles had been peppering him, taking stripping wounds. I think the chaplain got a wound off before he was killed, and then so he had to make a 3+ armor save. That's it. And he failed it. Last wound gone. Boom. End of game. I won, and it was beautiful. This I could just cinematically see this demon prince rising up about to strike. This marine getting one shot off, or coming with a chainsword or combat blade, just getting that one stab in, even jumping behind and stabbing in the neck, pulling him down as his form faded. It was beautiful. It was great. I loved it. I was so happy with it at the end. And then, of course, right after that, his response to the handshake to good game was, "Man, you cheated." Well, no, I didn't cheat. I played the objective, man. That's what you're supposed to do. No, you cheated, man. I should have won back here, and I should have won here, and this should have happened. And I'm like, I didn't cheat, man. I don't know. I killed more of your guys. Well, technically, yes, you killed 10 guys, and I killed, was it like 7? Yeah, okay, you killed more guys, but my unit's on the objective, and you've got an obliterator sitting in the back doing nothing. Like, it literally took, I think, maybe 3 shots or 4 shots. That was it. Didn't even move it. He used it as artillery. Sorry. So yeah, there's lots of cool times, lots of great times, lots of laughs. A few times there where I had, you had to deal with the unruly customer. Hell, we actually had to deal with. I remember one story, and it's gonna sound weird. We had to deal with bad journalism. We had fallout because of bad journalism. At one point back in 2007, one of the local newspapers, it was the Ottawa Citizen, I believe it was up here, ran an article on. At this point, people were freaking out because it sounds like the other guy I knew would cheat everything. Yeah, there was a number of them in the store. We had people crying in tournaments. But the bad press, they came. The article was that, and at the time, the big freak out was toys from China that had lead. Right, so it was a big deal. And somehow somebody had found out that one of our paints in one of the starter sets. Now this is back in the day when the starter sets had those little paints that are almost. What if my kids have it around here? No, little like paint by numbers paints are like that big, and one of them apparently had lead. Okay, now to get lead poisoning from that much paint, you'd have to drink like a gallon of paint to have any effect, and by that time you're probably getting sick from drinking all that paint. So it's no way it could harm anybody. But the bad journalism came in when they had a picture of a kid holding a Chaos Space Marine with a heavy bolter, and like, this is little Timmy with his Bionicle. It's like, that's not Bionicle. So it was like, okay. And apparently Games Workshop actually reached out to the Ottawa Citizen. Listen, like, this is not, and they actually had to print a retraction, from what I understand. So yeah, I got yelled at by another guy during a store tournament for not gaining ground. You can't gain ground when you aren't teamers working together. Yeah, we had. I felt bad. We had one kid who came into a tournament, and we had, and it was a fantasy tournament. Our fantasy guys were pretty solid guys. These were some of the guys that they would help out in tournaments. Like, if your person is short. I mean, I played a few tournaments because your person is short, and I was never good at fantasy. I was okay, but they'd help me out. Oh, big discharge, do this next time. So I learned a lot by playing them. These are people who, these are the type of people you want your gaming groups. They're the people who want other people to learn. But he was in a game with one guy, and the guy was crying. It's like, it was hard to see, but at the same time, it's like, dude, it's a tournament. It's not the end of the world. It's going to be okay. You don't need to cry. But I mean, no shame in crying. But it was a store tournament, so it's not like one of these big ones. It was a store one. I think the winners got like $25 in store credit or something, like a gift certificate or something. It wasn't anything bigger. They got a model, so it's not like you're walking away with riches because of this tournament. You know what I mean? So, oh yeah, I had fun though. That is consumption. Oh no, lead consumption is no joke. No, the let me clarify. No, that is no joke. The bad, the joke was the bad, um, was the bad journalism around it. Basically, making claims that couldn't really be substantiated, uh, commenting about this company on the lead, and then when you post a picture of the guy with the model, you don't post the correct product that he's holding. That's pretty basic, you know, stuff that you like. If you're gonna go after, you're gonna start trying to make people afraid. We had to deal with returns from that. We had people going, "Oh, you have lead in your stuff." It's like it's in one paint, maybe. Like, is your kid going to be eating paint? Well, no, but there's lead. There's no, like it was, it was really bad journalism. That was the joke, right? That was the joke of it. So yeah, it was. I mean, it was all sorts of stuff. We had, I mean, and again, being a red shirt, some people hated us for just doing our jobs, right? There was that was one of the things in our training we had to deal with. It wasn't actually in our training book that we got when I started Games Workshop. As our manager, okay, listen, you're gonna have some people that are gonna hate you. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, no, the lead is bad. You're no, absolutely right. Yeah, it's bad. That's not the joke I'm making at all. That's not part of it. Lead is bad, absolutely. But this is not lead you can inhale, right? No, that's not good. Wow, they still have lead. Wow, that's. I think they may have phased it out at some point. But you'd walk in, you'd be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And they'd be like, "Oh, I'm just looking around." Okay, I'm just saying hi. We had some people that hated us simply for being red shirts. It was part of it. There was. Uh, I remember the old chat pages. Thankfully, they're all dead now. But there was chats in there about, "Oh man, Games Workshop employees, man, they suck. Always trying to take our money. Uh, they're the worst." Just like, we're doing our job. We're just doing our job. Like, that's our job. You come in, you want to buy a product. We're here to sell you a product. And again, maybe it's because I have the experience, the unique. Um, God, this wire's pissed me off. The unique perspective of being on both sides. I've been on both sides of the curtain, right? But that's our job. Our job is to sell you stuff, right? You come in to buy stuff. We're going to sell you stuff, right? That's kind of the whole point of how it works. Um, and we were never the pushy type. We're never like, "Oh, you better buy or else." It was, at least not originally. It was a lot of like, "Hey, what are you picking up right now?" But again, and I was warned by a couple of the people I worked with that there were people who were going to look at you going, "Oh, you're one of those Games Workshop people. We don't like you," right? And I've had that over the years, even long after I stopped working for the company. They'd be like, "Oh, where'd you work?" "Oh, I worked at Games Workshop." "Oh, you're one of those people." "What do you mean I'm one of those people?" "Oh, you work for Games Workshop. They're all they care about is making money. They're trying to screw everybody over and yada 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 yada." Right? I don't know. There was even conspiracies about Games Workshop trying to take over the world, which I always found hilarious because, no, what we want to make everyone play the game forever, right? It was, yeah. Games Workshop. It was a wild ride. A lot of times it was weird. Sometimes a lot of times it was fun. Um, Definitely something though I will never ever do again. I mean, I say that now, and who knows? Maybe something will come up. But I think 99.999%, unless it's like exceptional circumstances, I will never ever work for Games Workshop again. Just especially if things haven't really changed that much. I don't know. I'm not seeing the behind the curtain anymore. But yeah. Just trying to get these guys dry brushed up so I can put them away. Just trying to get them updated. As I was saying much earlier on in the stream, it was about time I got them on new bases. It's been years and years and years. A business company wants to make money? Why would games would be bad for wanting to play games versus buying gallons of junk food? Yeah, and I don't know. Actually, that brings up another story. Just about okay. So when I worked at the Bayshore Shopping Center, we had a red shirt. It said, it had the big GW here. Um, we had our name tag, said our name, and the one I had, I think it had Space Marine and an Empire Spearman on it. My name. Along the back, it had right across the shoulders. It had the two-headed eagle of the Imperium. It said staff, and even on here, it said staff. Right, big bold letters. Okay, and I swear 9 times out of 10, I'd go down to the first floor where we had the local Shoppers Drug Mart here in Canada. That's one of our drug mart. It has everything. It's got it's like a mini. Do you work all the time? Oh, hi. Do you know where I can find this? I don't work here. Oh, well, you're wearing a shirt. I'm like, the Shopper Drug Mart shirt is blue, and I'm pretty sure they don't hail the Emperor. So that was funny. So we it happened almost all the time. Oh, could you go get something in the back? Yeah, I don't work here. I'm on my break. I'm getting a bag of chips and a drink. I don't actually work here. Sorry. Right, it happened all the time. And oh man, so many funny things there. We had Swarovski parents. See, this is why I want to do this live stream, because going back to store brought back so many memories. Not even some of the bad ones from the second time, but a lot of good memories from the first time. We had what we called Swarovski parents. Now I got that at malls in Ottawa when I was working commissioners. Yeah, the people just they see what they want to see, right? We had what was called Swarovski parents. Now Swarovski, if you don't know, is a store. I don't know if it's even there anymore, but it sells crystal figurines, right? From all sorts of stuff. There's Disney products. There's a whole bunch of different things, crystal dolphins and all that stuff. And we had a parent come in, and their son really wanted to play, wanted to get in Warhammer. She's like, "Oh my god, it's like $60 for the starter set. No, it's so expensive. No, no!" And they stormed out. And then two of us were out, and we saw her buying Swarovski stuff. And it happened a lot. Just these parents would not buy their kids something, but then you'd see them buying something completely overpriced. It's like, okay, you're going to buy this crystal figurine, you're going to put on a display case and look at it once in a blue moon. Or you could have your kid, yeah, maybe he won't get fully interested in Warhammer, but he's going to have a lot more fun playing with these little plastic figurines than you are staring at your little crystal Mickey, right? So we had Swarovski parents. That was always fun to laugh at. And then we had the Ono Santa moment. So like any major mall, around the dreaded Christmas time, and again, if you weren't here beforehand, we hated Christmas. Not because Christmas is a bad time of year, but because give the kids a hobby, not drug. Yeah, exactly. We would get stuck waiting hours for customers to come in. Right, we would have to be open till like 11 or midnight, because that's what the mall's hours were, and our last customer could be like 7:30. So you've got hours and hours, completely alone, just with nothing to do. You'd read every book, but we were a coworker of mine, one of the good ones that I wish had never left, but he did. Where we were walking on the third floor back from the food court back to the store, and we looked over the edge, and there's Santa in his big throne, and there's two of these scantily clad girls in tight clothing. This is the early 2000s, so again I think they probably had the tight sweatpants on with juicy on the butt, and they're they're the typical Ottawa girl showing off a lot more than they probably should be. Again, not judging, but you know. And Santa went ho ho ho, and we're like, oh no, Santa no, oh God, Santa no, and we ran back, and we were like just kind of sitting there both stunned, and people were like, you okay? I'm like, no, no Santa no, and so that became the no Santa no moment, and the oh Santa no moment, where we're like, oh, one of those moments where we're just kind of a little bit shocked and a little bit um, not upset, but you're just like, oh man, no, come on, Santa. But yeah, no, it was an interesting vibe uh, to the place. Lots of fun. I the first time was a great experience because we were able to have lots and lots of fun, sell some product, learned a lot about myself because my manager was really good at getting you to know yourself. He knew how to get the best out of people. He was a good manager. He wouldn't do anything that he wouldn't get you to do anything that he wouldn't do. Um, he was big into heavy metal, which was funny because we well, there's another big battle we had: Games Workshop and music rights. It reminds me. So at one point we could play whatever we wanted, and then I guess one of the stores somewhere in Canada got caught playing just standard music off the radio or off CDs or something, and there was a whole bunch of musical licensing stuff that I don't even want to begin claiming I understand because I really don't. But we got in trouble, and then they told us we could play something else. Um, but he loved heavy metal, and he would bring in like that screamer, like, and I'm sitting there one day painting up something for the store, and I finally tuned into the music playing above me, and there was a line like, "Next time I'll get a bat." I'm like, "Bud, boss, I don't think we can play this music anymore because he's like threatening to hit someone with a bat." He's like, "Oh, is he?" I'm like, "Yeah." And so we took off that music. Eventually, um, again, I know other stores got in trouble. Ours don't think ours got in trouble again, but other stores got into trouble. So eventually, I'm not sure how Games Workshop managed it, but we had a CD sent to us with the express purpose of playing this music and only this music, and that was it. And it got played on repeat. Now, this when I went to the store this time, I think they were just playing normal music again. So I'm not sure what happened there. But while I was at the second store, the entire time we were there, it was epic movie music from like the fantasy sci-fi movie. So there was excuse me. So there was a bunch of Lord of the Rings music in there. There was Pirates of the Caribbean, dun, 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 dun. Like and it was on repeat. So it was like 6 or 7, maybe 10 songs on repeat all day long. Just and not even on shuffle, just the same songs over and over and over again, right? So, but yeah, one of the stores got played, and again, it's about Canadian licensing fees, which I know nothing about. But yeah, it was yeah. Again, it was one of those weird things that we came across working in a Games Workshop store. It was one of those weird things where you're like, okay, so we can't play this music. Oh no, we can play this music, but not this music. I'm like, why can't we? And we didn't. It got to a point where we were playing. What were we playing? We were playing. We're playing CBC music, right? That's the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. We're playing CBC like off their free player, but again, apparently we couldn't do that because we were in a commercial area, and yeah, fun of playing in a mall, I guess. I don't know, but yeah. What else happened there? There was a day our generator or transformer in the back of the store blew, and that was a fun day because we couldn't actually do anything. We couldn't sell anything. We couldn't let people in the store because even in the middle of the day with light streaming through, you can only see like halfway into the store with no lights on. So we can let people in the store. There's lots of crazy stuff like that. But yeah, I'm now doing the edges of my Space Marine bases to get them all black like everybody else. A bit of hobbying. I don't know. I think working there was a great life experience for me. It showed me just how crazy this hobby can be, how much fun there is, and but at the same time, how much crazy stuff can go on, how weird people can be. We had do I really want to bring that stuff up? We were there were some weird characters too when were working. We had a guy come in and tell us his blood was suffering. We had a guy came in with a cape, like he was dressed like a freaking hobbit. Again, not a bad thing, just kind of weird. I don't know. And there's a bunch of weird personal stuff. There's a guy I knew. What you been painting tonight? Tonight, I am continuing my sort of 10th edition rebuild, where I just like my assault squad I had there that I built out of the remains of some other squads, and getting my sniper scouts with a missile launcher and getting a 10-man tactical squad together. I took out the two other 10-man tactical squads I had and have now put them on new bases, and I'm in the middle of just painting up the trim to get them looking fancy and nice, and then I can move on to the stuff from the Leviathan box set. I don't know where I'm going to start with that. I'm probably going to. I'll be start with the Marines, obviously. I don't know if I'm going to go for the Infernus Marines or the characters. I kind of like the lieutenant there with the combi weapon and the sort of like the lone survivor there from the other one. Yeah, man, that's what I do. I put this off for too long. Like I was saying earlier, I was one of those people who fell in with the chatter of that was it for tactical Marines. So I'm like, I'll just put them away, keep what I've already got based. And then all of a sudden, gamers just up. It's like, no, tactical Marines are in. I'm like, huh? Okay, time to get these guys done, get them cleaned up, get them looking nice, and get them playable. I haven't played a game of 10th yet. I really hope to sooner than later at some point. But I definitely want to get some 10th in. But I want to have a good chunk of Marines. I said I have a 2,000 point list right on 2,000 points that has 30 tactical Marines in it. In the first tactical squad, I got a Rhino paint, so I have it rolling around with las cannon and plasma popping out the firing hatch. Yeah, I got missile launchers and plasma in one squad, a missile launcher in the other one. But yeah, and I got a couple Rhinos to paint up years ago. But I was saying there's some personal stories in there too, right? You get to know some of the people, some of the customers. We had what we called, I don't want to say his name, but it was a day named after a customer, because he would come in. They were wonderful days and horrible days at the same time. Wonderful because this guy would come in and drop $1, $2, $3 grand at a go. And just he would buy armies. He'd bring his friend in and go, hey, what army you want? I want to play guard. Okay, let's get you everything you need for guard. And that was it. He would buy this guy a full guard army. It was great that day because, oh man, like we really need that to hit the week, or we need that to hit the month, or it's a great start to the month. It makes things a bit easier. There's a bit of pressure, but then until you realize that now, the next year on that day, we're gonna have to hit this amount again, and there's no guarantee he will be coming in on that day to do that army, to do it again. Again, it was also cool because you got to know customers, right? So you got to know the kids who were having a tough time. So you just try to make them laugh. You got to know some parents. We had this kid there whose mom was sick in a wheelchair, and so we tried our best to make them laugh a bit more. Then we found out a while still in there. I think it was a little while after I stopped bringing her, she passed away. So you get to know some of these people, whether they're older or younger, and you get to kind of know who they are, and you build more than just a rapport, but a respect, maybe even a friendship out of it, which is always cool. And then of course we had, and there's always people with weird. I'll be over Ontario this fall. We should, man, absolutely we should. get together and have a kick-ass battle. But we had this one guy. I swear, like Games Workshop should have hired him to do their play testing, because I think we'll all agree Games Workshops had a mixed results when it comes to play testing. Sometimes armies come out, you think like, did anybody actually play test this? I remember when Demons came out on their own for the first time, when they got the Demons of Chaos and Chaos Demon books for Fantasy and 40K, and he looked at them and he had this amazing ability to just read through a book quickly and then tell you all the broken things or the cool things you do. And he read through the Fantasy or the 40K book and said, okay, this is pretty cool, this is pretty powerful, this move's pretty cool, but overall it plays well. It's going to be a cool army to have. Um, then he looked at the fantasy book and said, "Oh my god!" He's like, "No one play tested this." He said, "Okay, well, you take this character, you take this unit, and you have an unbreakable, unkillable unit that will just run through anything." And he was right. Right? When the fantasy guys got a hold of it, anybody Chaos Army built that exact unit. I think it was like a Nurgle, like a greater demon in Nurgle with a whole bunch of Nurgle stuff around him, and literally, like it could kill front ranks like that, right? Because of all the Nurgle touch this and plague this, and it was this really disgusting unit that could just walk around the board pretty much indestructible, with lots of wounds and lots of saves. So it was he could, but he could do it to any book, any game. He just go, yeah, this is cool, take this, do this, do this, do that. And this is just after looking the book for a little bit of time. Nuts powerful stuff. Games Workshop should have hired him to do a quick play test just so they could have avoided maybe some of the problems that their armies have had over the years, just with things that maybe weren't play tested well. 3 more to go and these units are done. Good to get them done. I'm glad. I've been in a hobby funk for a very, very long time, and it's had these cool little moments now, getting stuff done, revisiting old haunts, revisiting old memories. Lots of fun. And it's funny. I remember, and I mean, it connects to other things too. I remember when Robin Williams passed away. I know it sounds like a weird story, but I've got I remember he passed away, and it brought me back to another memory. Because I was I'm a huge Robin Williams fan. I think he's one of the greatest comedians, actors, people ever. When my original boss, when I started working, he worked for Games Workshop. In the past, he worked up in Toronto. And you probably know, you may not, Robin Williams was an avid hobbyist. He was a Warhammerist, and he had some old stuff. Robin Williams actually came into the store he was in Toronto, and shot the poop with them and played around and had fun. So he got to meet Robin Williams, which is cool. And Robin Williams was a hobbyist. I remember probably one of my favorite days in the hobby ever, when his daughter went online to say, like, my dad had all this stuff, what is it? And just the outpouring of love that she got, like, oh man, all these people going, oh, your dad was my favorite, he made me laugh, he got me through tough times. And the support, like, there wasn't a single question that wasn't answered to the fullest by the hobbyist that day. Oh yeah, this is this is that, this is this, this is that. It was great. It was fantastic. It was an absolutely amazing. It was a really good day to be part of the community that day. And again, it went back to another memory of mine. My boss going, "Hey, I met Rob Williams. Oh man, I wish I'd met Rob Williams." But to have him come to the store and just goof around with the staff, that's cool. I mean, I had a run-in with a local celebrity. That's not saying much. It's Ottawa, Canada. We're like the most boring city in the world. But he was one of the local news people, and he came with his son. I'm like, oh man, I recognize this guy, but I wanted to play cool, and I just ran intro. I think it was the fantasy box set, the High Elves versus the Skaven, and they picked it up. They had a wonderful time, and I shook his hand, and I'm like, oh yeah, man, I recognize you from this. Like, oh yeah, no, a lot of people do. It's cool, and he's a really nice guy. But you know, it was my little meeting with local celebrity. It was fun. But yeah, I don't know, man. It going back brought back some good memories, some bad memories. It was cool to kind of get caught up on things, see what the vibe of the new store was like, or the old store with the new manager. Learn some cool stuff. Yeah, it was a cool experience, man. Um, being on both sides of the curtain's been interesting too, because I see a lot of arguments, especially nowadays when you see some of those the sites that they love to live off of just shitting all over Games Workshop. It's funny because I look at them going, you've got it all wrong. You're going on, you're talking about this company, you don't quite understand how the system works. And yeah, no, it's not always cool. And Games Workshop definitely, they're like any other company. They love FOMO. They want you to feel like you're missing it, right? Look at all the cool Tyranid stuff that dropped today. That was some beautiful models. Oh my god! But that's what they want. They want you to miss out, and every company does that. And I get it. It's not the best sales tactic. I know a lot of people are upset that they bought the Guard Codex, and then 3 months later, it doesn't work anymore. Or someone got the World Eaters Codex, and again, not very much later, it's gone. It's over, right? It's a book you bought kind of with maybe you could feel kind of bitter and ripped off, sort of bad sales there. I remember when we worked the first time we worked at the store there. If someone came in and go, man, I really want to play Skaven, and I'd be like, okay, we'll get you some, like, pick this up right now, but don't get the book yet. And, oh, why not? Because next month a new book's coming out. And we didn't announce the store. We announced it to them, going, hey man, don't buy this book, because in a month you're gonna have to buy a new one anyways. We don't want you to waste your money in that. You can save your money, buy that book later. We'll get you a couple of units you need right now to start. That will be in that unit. Will still be the same place. So we do stuff like that because at the end of the day, like us Games Workshop people, we're not evil people. Yes, there's definitely some of us who suck, like my old manager, who do stupid, illegal stuff, like my old manager. But most of us want you to have fun. And yes, we want the stores to make money, but we want to do it in a way that makes it fun for you. I'm one of those people. What? You're one of those people that does bad things? Are you doing illegal things, Mythos? Are you doing your pantsless dances with the bow ties and not telling the IRS? Man, you gotta put this stuff in, man. But yeah, no, I know you're one of those people want stuff fun. That's what I want people to have fun. That's why I do this channel, because it's fun for me, and hopefully it's fun for other people. Yeah, that was disappointing. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah, you were disappointed again. I mean, it's been happened before. I remember when they came up with the Khorne Demon King book, or Demon Kin book, sorry, on for I think that was what, 7th edition. But yes, it's all about the fun. Even the Joker doesn't mess the IRS. That's true. He doesn't. He'll mess with Batman, but not the IRS. But the Demon Kin book came out. It was pretty cool, right? A whole army dedicated to Khorne, all these cool rules. It wasn't around very long at all, because then all of a sudden you had the Gathering Storm, and then that was it. We were on 8th, and all those books became kind of irrelevant. I think there wasn't enough time. I think Games Workshop's major problem now is the speed at which it's pumping things out. It's going really fast. I remember there was a lot of time between editions, and now it's like 2 or 3 years. Before that was 5 or 6, depending on the edition, right? So they're really pumping stuff out. I remember it was like, yeah, you had the Gathering Storm, and all of a sudden, oh, here's rules for Rebute Guilliman. Sweet. And then like a month later, oh yeah, you can't use that book anymore because now we have 8th edition. Here's the new rules for Rebute Guilliman. Oh. And as much as fun as it is to have the fluff, it's not enough time. I liked what they did with I think they did it better with the End Times for Warhammer Fantasy. They had a book like every month, and there was like 6 books, I think. I'm trying to remember now, something like that. Yeah. So there was you had some time to play with stuff, and then they did the end time stuff. They blew up the world that was, but then there was like 3 months of nothingness. So you actually got some more time with those books to play those battles, to mess around with these really crazy cool characters. And then they brought out Age of Sigmar, so that was pretty cool. That I think they did that one a bit more appropriately than they did even with this latest edition. It was, hey, here's your new guard book, here's all your cool stuff, and 3 months later, by the way, here's your index, here's all your cool stuff. It's, I don't know, that's just me though. Again, I've been on both sides of it. I know what it's like to be in the business, but I also know what it's like to be a customer. All right, I'm heading to bed. Night all. Good night, sir. Thank you for joining us. I'm gonna be heading to bed soon because it's getting late. But I hope you guys enjoyed this journey through my history with Games Workshop. It was a wonderful time. Honestly, more often than not, it was an absolutely amazingly fun time. I met a lot of cool people. Had well, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I met a lot of cool people. There were some definitely negative times when things didn't go quite. Yeah. Oh no, trust me, I'm always watching Mythos. I got snipers on him all the time, man. He's a tricky one, that Mythos, right? You never know when he's going to start bursting a dance and just Chippendale it all over the place. Get the spinning bow tie. But it was a good time. It was good times. Unfortunately, the way it ended the second time was one of those things. I was like, I will never go back to that company again. Don't want to. I mean, the guy at the store saying like he doesn't have a key timer, he needs one. And I was like sitting there in the back of my mind going, should I? I'm already working full time, but I could pop in on a weekend. I could pop in on a weekend maybe, and I'm like, no. I'm never going back because that last time was that was the end of it. HR deal that way, and just not cool. But I am going to end it there, guys. Thank you very, very much. Stop. I don't need images of Mythos dancing at Chris Farley shirtless. I think Mythos is a bit. I think he's a bit tighter. It's tighter than Chris Farley. But you know what? Hey man, whatever rocks, whatever floats your boat, whatever. But anyways, I'm gonna call it there, guys. Thank you very much, everybody, for being on the stream with me. Hey, hopefully you got some stuff done. I got my Marines all prepped up, so now I have 30 tactical Marines to go kick some butt in the Emperor's name. But yes, thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much, Mythos. All right, well, good night, guys. I will see you around, and keep rolling those dice. We'll see you later. Bye.